While millions of people are currently screaming at their televisions, painting their faces, and crying actual tears because a stranger dropped a ball, there is a specific group of people who are doing something else. They are sitting in complete silence, unmoved, unbothered. If this sounds like you have probably asked yourself the question, am I boring? Is something broken in my brain? The answer is no. In fact, neuroscience suggests your brain might just be wired differently than the 60% of the population who obsess over the game. You aren't missing the gene for fun, you have simply evolved past the need for the tribe. To understand why you don't care, we first have to understand why they do. For thousands of years, humans were purely tribal creatures. Survival meant belonging to a group. If your tribe won, you survived. If they lost, you were vulnerable. Modern sports are just a simulation of this ancient war. When a fan watches their team score, their brain floods with oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It tricks their biology into thinking the players on the screen are literally their family members. They aren't just watching a game, they are chemically merging with a group identity. But your brain, it doesn't fall for the trick. Psychologists call this low tribal instinct. Your identity is not dependent on a group to feel safe. You are what is known as an individualist. While the fans rely on external validation to feel complete, your self-esteem is self-generated. You don't need the crowd to tell you who you are. But there is a darker side to fandom that you are immune to. It's called the dopamine trap. Have you ever wondered why fans are so addicted to the game even when their team loses? It is because of intermittent reinforcement. It is the same psychological mechanism that makes slot machines addictive. Because they don't know if they will win or lose, their brain releases massive spikes of dopamine just from the anticipation. They are hooked on the uncertainty. Your brain, however, likely values competence over chance. You don't get a thrill from watching a random outcome you can't control. You get your dopamine from things you can control, like learning a new skill, fixing a problem, or creating something new. To you, watching sports feels like watching a random number generator. It's not exciting, it's just inefficient. There is another psychological phenomenon you avoid, known as B.I.R.G.ing, basking in reflected glory. Watch a sports fan carefully. When their team wins, they say, "We won." When their team loses, they say, "They lost." They attach their self-worth to the victory of strangers. But people who don't care about sports tend to have a more stable self-concept. You don't need a team of millionaires to win a trophy for you to feel successful. You prefer direct engagement. You want the victory to be yours, earned through your own effort, not watched from a distance. So if you aren't using your emotional energy on sports, where is it going? Research shows that people with low interest in sports often score higher in openness to experience and intellectual curiosity. Instead of allocating your empathy to a jersey, you likely allocate it to ideas and systems. You might find yourself deeply moved by a piece of art, a scientific breakthrough, or a complex philosophical question. You aren't cold, you are just selective. You find meaning in narrative depth and intellectual challenge, not in the arbitrary rules of a game. Finally, let's talk about the flow state. Sports fans enter a trance when they watch the game. It is their escape from reality. But for you, escape looks different. You likely enter your flow state when you are alone, creating, reading, or thinking. You don't need the loud, chaotic energy of a stadium to feel alive. You find that same electricity in silence, in solitude. So the next time the Super Bowl is on and you are the only person in the room reading a book or staring out the window, don't apologize. You aren't antisocial. You just don't need the simulation. You are playing a different game entirely, one where the rules are yours to make. If you enjoyed this analysis, subscribe to Decoding the Human. We explore the science of why you do what you do. See you in the next one.